This is Tron from Xtra.com. What can I help you with today? I invite you to be my partner. Yeah, have a look. We are proud to launch new ways to market your company, your products and services. Manage your marketing the right way, no matter if you consider a top banner that is standing out or a side banner that is an effective way to increase your customer base and target the exact people you are looking for. Are you looking for new ways to increase your sales and your profit? Try our cheap and affordable web promotions right now. It is risk-free. We have 100% satisfaction guarantee. Xtra is growing fast, and your ad will be seen by thousands of visitors every month. By placing a top banner at Xtra.com, you will reach out to a big group of new customers and make more sales. You may also consider to place a sidebar in a niche category. It will be an effective way to increase your customer base and target the exact people you are looking for. Try Xtra.com risk-free to reach our active users. We look forward to cooperating with you. Register today and we will give you a special offer.
Hi everyone, Xtra.com is your new leading independent website with quality content. Yes, we are looking for you. What is your passion? Your articles or reviews could be about lifestyle, travel, culture, music, concerts, festivals, events, movies, TV shows, gadgets, electronics, trading, affiliate programs, or anything else you love. So, what are you waiting for? We need you as our next contributor for Xtra. So take action today. Sign up now at contribute.Xtra.com. Welcome to the Xtra family.
Yes, now I will unpack a package from France. It's really cool. Let's see what's inside here. Let's see what is inside. Paula for my wow. My dearest darling Mika, your help and support are amazing. Thank you. You are awesome. With love, Sally Ann. Oh, Amiga rules. That's the spirit of artist, of course. And there's also something more in this package, and that is Paula Powered Level Up CD. Wow. Amazing, amazing. I'm so happy for it, and man, you will get a special Paula Powered Amitopia TV special very right now. thank you so much for your love for the Amiga and for, you know, making such great music. So thank you once again, Paula Porrad, Sally Ann, and your and everyone on it. Here we have Hazy Crazy, 56K, Wish Command, Queen of the Battleground, and Tried Can't. Oh, and even more thanks, dearest Michael, thank you, Amiga Rules, Sally Ann, and Sylvain. Oh, you are brilliant. Paula Powered, Level Up, now packed up, and yeah, let's try it, and yeah, why not the best thing to do with such a thing? Play it on an Amiga compatible computer. Here I have Aros, of course, in my living room, but let's just hold this CD in front of us and walk. Let's walk. It's a bit messy here, but that's the spirit of Amiga users, I suppose. Okay, the mouse is upside down, but we will fix it. fix. A little bit light, more light, power powered, and let's have a blast with my Morphos machine. Okay, so let's have a look. This is my Morphos machine, and yeah, let's prepare the machine for Paula powered music. Yeah, let's take out the CD. Let's get the CD out. So here is the Paula Power Level Up and the CD beside it. Wow! Let's put it into the CD slot, and as with the Max, everything is automatic. Paula powered on my Amiga OS Morphos screen. Let's click on it, and of course there's nothing there. Alright, and let's just list all files like this and just play my 56K. Haha.
Hi everyone, Distrita.com is your new leading independent website with quality content. Yes, we are looking for you. What is your passion? Your articles or reviews could be about lifestyle, travel, culture, music, concerts, festivals, events, movies, TV shows, gadgets, electronics, trading, affiliate programs, or anything else you love. So, what are you waiting for? We need you as our next contributor for Distrita. So take action today. Sign up now at contribute.distrita.com. Welcome to the Distrita family.
Good evening and welcome to Chill Out Time. And this time it's evening, yes, and not morning. Now today we have the Amiga Book, and I bought this, I haven't even touched it yet because I thought, let's do a Chill Out Time on it. It'd be a good one. So I'm going to have my first flick through, and you can grab a tea and join me and enjoy. So let's see what this is about. By the way, this is by the makers of Retro Gamer. I mean, it says the Amiga Book, but it looks to me more like a magazine than a book. But anyway, let's see what it's about. So welcome to the Amiga Book, in association with Retro Gamer magazine. So Amiga Book, the contents. Interesting. The Amiga 500, it has some information about this. For a home computer that's so incredibly associated with the history and fate of Commodore, it's perhaps a little surprising that the Amiga's genesis can be tracked all the way back to the Commodore's biggest rival, Atari. Oh, I can see myself getting engrossed in this thing. Oh, Batman. Wow. There's certain games I see and they're just like, they make me fill in with the joy. What game is this? I keep seeing this lady. Stunning Defender of the Crown justified the purchase of the Amiga for many owners. Defender of the Crown, I've heard of this. And I need to check it out because the graphics seem amazing. Is this just a 500 game? Yeah, I think so. Wow, the Amiga 1200. This is where my music and creativity began. With this machine. This beautiful machine, which everyone's dying to get a hold of right now. Perfect 10 games. Okay, let's have a look what these are. Worms, Fighting Spirit, Alien Breed, T0, Simon the Sorcerer, Deluxe, Galaga, Unescapy, XP8, Star Trek 25th Anniversary, Payback. From all these, which ones have I played? None. That's terrible. Oh, no, I thought that was Flashback for a second. Payback. Amiga CD32, I wanted one, but I kind of never had one, and even now it'd be kind of cool to have one. However, I've got a 1200 that emulates one, and basically it's just a 1200 with a CD on the drive. So, well, it does have extra chips. I'm not sure exactly what they do, but it does have extra chips. So these are CD32 titles. It's such a shame, you know, such a beautiful machine, this one, and it's just in the wrong hands. Okay, perfect 10 games. Hold on, was there a perfect 10 games? I've just missed out, haven't I? With a 500. Let's have a look. Perfect 10 games for 500. Worms, Jimmy White's Robo Snooker, Another World, yes. I played that, I love it. Jimmy White Snooker I used to play too, but not as much as Arcade Pool. Lemmings, yes. Speedball 2, yes. Secret of Monkey Islands, I was never into that. I used to hear everybody talking about it. Alien Breed, okay, the non-AGA. Sensible now. Theme Park, I did play that, but that got old quick for me. But yeah, these are classics. Okay, let's go back. Skip back. From my ignorance. Okay, so CD32, 10 best, 10 perfect games. Okay. Diggers, Worms, Flink, Banshee, Guardian, Beneath the Steel Sky, yes, I played the CD32 version. On my Amiga 1200, the Tower one. How I miss it. Alien Breed, Degeneration, Zool, yes, I played that. Actually, no, I did not play the CD32 one. It's got extra backgroundy stuff, I think. What's the extra chips in the CD32 do? I'm not clued up on that, to be honest, as much. Lemmings, The Ultimate Guide. Climber for the Blocker. Builder, Washer, Miner, Digger. Oh, I used to play hours on this. Lemmings. Conversions. Wow, it gives you the best and worst conversion. Okay, this is an interesting read for later on. Oh, Rainbow Hands. This kind of reminds me of the other book we saw last time, the visual compendium. I'm not good at pronouncing that word, I can never get it right. Oh, this is that demo. Well, I think it's part of Shadow the Beast. I'm not sure. It must have been a preview or a demo of it or something like this. Beauty of the Beasts. Oh, so see what's about this. On Zool, my favorite level was always the music level, level 2. I love that a lot. I seem to like the music level. Is that John Hare? Yes, it is. The cannon fodder dude. Flashback. I tried playing this a few times. I just kept getting stuck at one point. I need to play it again. I mean, I was young then, but I need to play it again. Just to kind of see if I can... see how far I can get, what I can do with it. It's been a while since I've flicked through a magazine. I remember I used to do this, just this thing. Back in the Amiga days, I used to buy some of the magazines, not so many. I wasn't like a huge collector or anything, so I've lost them all since. But I used to, just do this exactly the same thing in my bedroom. Just chill out for like an hour or something with some magazines. The Amiga Underground. If you only got your Amiga games from High Street Retail, then you only knew about half of what made Commodore's machine so great. Oh yeah, we know X-Copy and all that. Retro Game looks back at the public domain scene and speaks to some of the people that were most invested in it. It's a good read. Oh, that's that Sabrina. Sabrina? Yeah, Sabrina. Oh, I know this caterpillar thing. My brother showed me this demo. Phenomenal. Oh, of course, Tarek. Discovery of the classic C64 game shown on the Amiga. Simon the Saucer. I've heard of this game forever. I've heard of it all the time. What is it? Is it an RPG or something? Yes, I think it is. Is it such a big game that, you know, because I've heard its name so much. Maybe it's because I could come across it on discs. Worms. Worms, I tried getting into it. My brother kept saying, oh, it's like Lemmings, it's so nice. I never actually got into it. I tried it. But it felt too complicated for me for some reason. Maybe I just needed to, you know, persevere, which I just didn't do. But I never just caught on to it for some reason. The Collector's Guide, Amiga 500. Whether Amiga 500 is perfect for collectors and it features an array of stunning games across a variety of different genres. It was a stunning machine. Still is. If I had the space, I would love to have one. Seriously, it's a beauty of a machine. I don't care if its spec is slow. Oh my god, I remember this stupid freaking joystick. And this one. This was nasty. My brother had this one. He got this thinking it's cool. It was freaking nasty. It just broke. The zip sticks lasted like, you know, 15 times longer than them. This one I got from the store, but I brought it home and I was just like, what the freak? I plugged it in. It was just awkward. How do you hold this stupid thing? Never came across this. This does not look comfortable. Actually, it might be. It's the arcade style, isn't it? It reminds me of, like, you know, kind of like an Atari thing. This is a freaking ugly thing. Oh, Action Replay. Oh my god, I missed the Amiga 500 for this cartridge. Action Replay. I used to freeze, I used to rip mods. That's how I ripped all the mods in my collection. With this Action Replay. We had an MK2, not an MK3. Don't know what the difference is. But I used to enjoy doing the freeze and the slow, you know, slowing everything down and stuff. The Collector's Guide. And Xenon. Gods, that's a good game. I used to play that. That's all I remember was this far flashback. Frangelic. Oh, what's this? Big Wiz Nuts? Oh, that's freaking, what's that called? WizKid. Weird game. Such a weird game. New Zealand Story. Pac-Mania, my first ever game that I played. Pinball Dreams. Oh, I like this page. Lotus Super SP. Oh my god, Tetris. And you know something? I always preferred Amiga version mirrors of Tetris for some reason. I liked the music and the mood of it. I preferred it better than the NES, the Nintendo Tetris. For some reason I just did. I think maybe it's a nostalgic thing, maybe it's, I don't know what it is, but I preferred this. It was kind of a bit of a trippy version. I watched a documentary about Tetris. You know, I think it was some sort of, it's on YouTube, and I watched it. It was very fascinating. The amount of the amount of trouble this game caused between relations between UK lot and the Russian. It's like so thingy communist Russia and all this. But I really like that dude, the dude who made it, Alexei, what's his name? I don't know, but the father of Tetris itself. You know, he's such a chill out guy. He was just like, you know, when the words being passed between the UK lot and and Russians, he was just like, you know, all this just because of my little game. So humble. Bless him. Right. This is, you know, I'm gonna be flicking back and forth through this. I did enjoy this, to be honest, and I'm looking forward to actually getting into it and reading the articles rather than just like, you know, skimming over them. So this is it for now, and thank you so much for chilling out with me, and also don't forget to check out my other videos, and of course thanks so much for your likes, your shares, and do subscribe for more. And for now, I will chill out with my Amiga book and say to you, adios!
Hi everyone, Distrita.com is your new leading independent website with quality content. Yes, we are looking for you. What is your passion? Your articles or reviews could be about lifestyle, travel, culture, music, concerts, festivals, events, movies, TV shows, gadgets, electronics, trading, affiliate programs, or anything else you love. So, what are you waiting for? We need you as our next contributor for Distrita. So take action today. Sign up now at contribute.distrita.com. Welcome to the Distrita family.
But your meditation.
Hello fellow Amiga users, I'm Bill.
I'm Anthony.
And we are the Guru Meditation. Thanks so much for checking out our YouTube channel about the Commodore Amiga computer and the community that surrounds it. We make how-to videos, we do live streams, and we get out into the world and do show reports from Amiga shows and retro shows around the world.
We do interviews and record presentations from leaders in the Amiga community, and we do short profile documentaries about interesting Amiga users and their projects.
My Amiga vintage computer.
But most of all, we just have fun hanging out with you guys. Anthony and I met back in 1988 at the Westchester Amiga user group, a user group that still meets to this day, and this YouTube channel is an extension of that club.
Bill and I both have massive collections of Amiga hardware, software, and rare peripherals that we dig out and demo for you. Like, literally dig out.
I've seen you digging in Das bunker, and I feared for your safety.
Well, it's no more dangerous than the barn.
Whoa, oh, timber! Thanks so much for checking out our channel, guys. Hang out, have a great time, and Amiga forever.
We will see you on episodes of the Guru Meditation.
If you dig our videos, smash that subscribe button. And if you want to be notified when we post a new video or go live, click the bell notification button. What up, guys? Woo!
but your meditation.
Here's a man probably needs no introduction with that great Boeing bow tie, and I mean the way you're traveling, I think those shoes are seeing a lot of frequent flyer miles.
They have.
For Boeing balls, but of course we have here Trevor Dickinson from A-EON. Am I saying that right?
That's fine.
I have a tendency to mispronounce corporate names. I know I was yelled at once for mispronouncing Atons as at once. That ages me.
I used to call it at once.
Yeah, I think everyone did.
Oh, okay.
That's great.
You just taught me something.
It's great that we have something in common.
So A-EON.
A-EON.
Just joking with you.
Which of course we love our 1200s, we love our 4000s, but if you are looking for a new Amiga, this is the guy that you got to come to.
Okay, thank you. Actually, we do make a lot of software now. As well,
and
so,
now we'll get to that too.
Yeah. but actually, it's really strange. I started to write for Total Amiga magazine, a series called Amiga Retrospective, and it was supposed to be an article about my Amiga collection, which was growing at the time, and then that transferred to Amiga Future after Total Amiga shut down. Amiga Future was a German magazine, and eventually they did an English and German version. So I was doing the Amiga models, just reviewing them, and it morphed into a whole series about the rise, fall, rebirth of the Amiga. And as I was reading, researching the story and going through it, I'd always been an Amigan, but suddenly I was drawn into all the highs, the lows. It was like some sort of strange, afternoon soap opera, And I thought I always wanted an Amiga 5000 because I had the Amiga 2, 3, 4.
Right.
I used them on my businesses. I wanted the 5. Commodore went bust, and of course that was really the end of the Amiga line as we knew it. So I'm doing all this research for the magazine article, and it just sucked me in. I thought, I wonder if we could actually create a new Amiga, a modern Amiga that's actually designed and developed for Amiga OS. This is our latest commercial product, and this is an Amiga 1 X5000. It's actually running a demo version of Daniel Musner's Tower 57. He created it especially for us for this show. So he's allowed us to show it, so you're free to film that. You've been playing it, what do you think about it?
That's awesome, oh my god, it was so much fun.
That brings me right back.
Little Chaos Engine.
Right
And
back.
it's pretty good though.
Oh, it's a great game. The graphics are nice. It's smooth, and it's running in a window.
It's running in a window.
Modern Amiga.
And the X5000 is actually very stable. It's running a long word. It's a pre-release version of Amiga 1, Amiga OS 4.1, Final Edition, Update 1, pre-release. Pre-release because it's for the X5000, and there's some more bell tweaks to be done to it. But generally it's really stable, and it shows the power of the X5000. I have to say, I'm sorry for my X1000, but my X5000 is now my Amiga 1 of choice, because it's just so much smoother. And the X1000 was no slow coach. Well, this is about $1,000 cheaper than the X1000. Yeah, so that's the number I use. So we really got the cost down on this one. 2 reasons. One, we got the cost down because the cost of the CPU is expensive but a lot lower. But 2, because of the software, we can leverage off the software and get some of the development costs back on the software. So we use software as a way of getting the cost down on the hardware. It's still expensive, but for small volume production of a bespoke model, I think it's a fantastic price. Really, it should be a lot higher, but we want to sell them. Next to that, we've got an Amiga 1 A1222 beta tester. Ken's running Linux on it at the moment, Debian Linux. It does run Amiga OS 4.1 update, Final Edition Update 1, actually quite well. But because the beta version, Hyperion don't want to show it in demonstrating until it's up and running. Their worry is that trolls will pick it apart and have a go at the operating system, but to be honest, it runs really well. And I hope this will be out commercially by AmiWest this year. But it all depends on Hyperion and some of the drivers they're working on. It doesn't mean it's going to be this case, because the board's very small. The board's about that size. It's tiny, I want to make that almost at cost, manufacturing cost. So it's very attractive for someone to say, oh, okay, I can afford, to pay for that. It doesn't really matter, I'll just buy it. And hopefully again use the Ami store and the software we're developing to get the money back through the software. Think of the printer analogy and the printer inks. They sell the hardware very cheap and they claw it back on the software. I don't think it would be quite like that, but the hardware will be as low as we can make it. We want it to be the lowest ever next generation Amiga cost-wise. Well, this is the Alice laptop, and actually I've got one of the developers here. Ken was one of the development team behind the Alice laptop, and he did a lot of work on actually the integration side, didn't you?
Pretty much did.
Yeah, he did all the integration. So Alice is obviously a laptop incorporating a classic experience. So it'll boot into AmiKit, directly into AmiKit. It'll boot in directly into OS4 Classic, or boot into Windows, where you can choose to run OS4 Classic under WinUE, which has some extra features and benefits. Under AmiKit, it has the ability, with a rabbit hole feature, to go down below into the Linux below it and run Linux programs like Firefox, Thunderbird, VLC, LibreOffice, but they run within the AmiKit OS3 Classic environment. So you really feel that that's what you've got. And this is what I take with me as my laptop of choice now, even on Skype. But it's all obviously in the Linux side. It actually runs OS4 quite well under emulation, but under WinUE, and I've installed the enhancer software pack under it, the classic for OS4 Classic, and that runs pretty good as well. So, really good, and it's my laptop I use. It's emulation. What I really want is a PowerPC laptop.
So it's pretty amazing to think in 2017 that you could have 3 machines to choose from to buy to run Amiga when Commodore went out of business so long ago.
Well, it is quite amazing, and it's quite amazing. It's not just A-EON, it's the community as a whole have kept this thing going. And what I quite like is when I travel around the world now, I see a lot of younger guys, not all like me. Although if you see the Viva Amiga movie, you see a very good-looking younger guy with black hair. I guess it took so long to make that my hair went grey. Sorry, Zach. Yeah, but it's good to see. And I look around here, and there's all sorts of people looking at this, all ages.
Right.
All right, maybe their dads brought them along or their granddads, I don't know. But it's good to see that.
Right, because that's what you need. You need the new people coming in. Just selling it to old guys like me.
We'll buy it, but you need more people.
Right. So how do you think it will be possible to rope in those people who don't have the history that you have with the Amiga, that I have with the Amiga?
It's a really good question, and I'll try to answer it this way. As I go around the shows, I see a lot of youngsters come in, and when the games are playing, they immediately go onto the Amiga and start playing the games, and whether it's next generation or classic. I think that as we bring in the cheaper models that are more accessible, you're going to see, and I am seeing younger Amigans. Well, when I say younger, I mean probably 20s and 30s. I don't mean 5s and 10s, but I am seeing them use the equipment and buying systems. And we're starting to get customers now who never ever had an Amiga. I can think of at least 5 people who never had an Amiga, but they bought the system because they thought it was cool. And it's part of that retro scene. Retro's big. Hence you get these vintage computer festivals. And not everyone wants this to be mainstream. They want to be a bit different. They want to try something different.
Do you think there's a little bit of that? Obviously, Mac is big, Windows is big. Do you think there might be a little bit of
Was there a Mac 30? Was there a Mac 30?
No.
Was there a Windows 30?
I don't think a lot of people who use those look back very much.
Exactly.
Is a good point.
Yeah. So we've got to, of course, we've got to make sure that we keep the energy with the Amiga users who want to stay. And that's why I don't like all the nonsense that goes around, the trolling, the infighting. To me, that's just counterproductive.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
It scares people away. So you can embrace all Amiga flavors, whether it's Amiga OS4, Classic, MorphOS, AROS, emulation, FPGA. To me, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Let's just be Amigans.
As long as you're having fun with it, as long as you're enjoying it.
And the more you create the Amiga flavor, the more we're in the news. I mean, that's why I put blogs out. I do the publicity stuff. I go to shows, and just to promote it. And 3 or 4 years ago, probably no one heard of much Next Generation really outside of the Amiga computer.
Right.
Now we're getting a little bit of mainstream traction.
And do you think there's a little bit of there's some people out there who just want something different?
Oh, well, remember what did Apple say? Dare to be different? Mm-hmm. Well, they've stopped being different. They're just cool. And they charge for that coolness. But the difference is not really there. And I will say they've always been very restrictive. They control you. Whereas Amiga's always been, like Amigans, God, we just pull things apart. We try and do things the way they weren't supposed to be done.
Right.
We're very inventive. And I think that invention is really important. And that ability to actually look beyond what you're provided with is really important.
Let's go back a little bit. You say you actually use Amigas in your business. So what businesses were those?
Well, my first computer was a Commodore PET. So maybe that dates me a little bit. And of course I traded that in at the time because I couldn't afford to buy this brand new Commodore 64, which played international soccer. So that sucked me in. And then Commodore 128, Commodore 128D. And I think I've told the story before, but I was living in Texas at the time, and my 128D got zapped in a lightning strike.
Ouch.
Came in through the phone line and zapped the whole thing. So with the insurance money, I bought an Amiga 2000. And that's where Amiga's journey started. And at the same time, I changed jobs. In fact, I left the company I was working for, and me and a few partners started a new business. And in that business, I used Amigas for desktop publishing, for graphics work, for video production work. And I had 2000s, 3000s, and eventually 4000s in that business. And that's what we used for all the creative stuff.
Right, great. So now you decide you're going to start developing new hardware. So what was that process? What did you have to get together in order to be able to start doing that and doing that pretty successfully?
Well, the Amiga 1 X1000 was obviously the first Amiga we developed, and it was in collaboration with, to be honest, it was a collaboration with Ben Herman's Hyperion Entertainment. We set up a company in Belgium, which was funded by myself and a business partner of mine who'd been a business partner with me in other businesses. And we thought it'd be really good to try and develop a new Amiga. It was a learning experience for me. I ended up really running the company and really funding it all myself. So I couldn't, but it was successful, that's the main thing. Financially successful, no. It cost an awful lot of money, which was never recovered. Technically successful, yes. We got the beta test boards out, and eventually we got commercial boards out. And it was, from a technical point of view, it was very successful. But it taught me a lot about the Amiga market, what customers want, what they're willing to pay for, what they'll accept, what they won't accept. And unfortunately, in our Amiga world, we don't have the resources. We're not mainstream, so we don't have the user base or the technical resources to actually do things at a fast pace.
Right. So that's some of the challenges, obviously, in trying to develop brand new hardware for this platform.
Yeah. So when we did the X1000, we had a deal to buy CPUs from from PA-Semi. PA-Semi got bought by Apple. Apple shut down production. We couldn't get CPUs. In fact, we paid up to $1,000 each for CPUs at one stage. And we ate the cost of that because we wanted to get the boards out. So we looked for a replacement for the X1000, and that's what you see there, the X5000. And that's based on a Freescale CPU, dual core 5020, although there are quad core 5040s coming along too. And that has a 10-year support cycles, so we're not going to run out of CPUs for that.
Right. So now, of course, you develop a new machine, but it's obvious from knowing what your company's doing with buying the rights to certain pieces of software, you also see that in order to sell the hardware, you have to have software for people to run on.
The biggest issue with Amiga systems, next generation Amiga systems, is the lack of software. So we put a lot of focus and effort on software. We created AmiStore, which is like an on-computer store, which every time you start it up, goes to the website, checks all the updates, and then you can buy the stuff through AmiStore.
Right, so it basically brings the Amiga up to modern time. Every modern PC now has a store that handles all of your software purchases.
Exactly. So that's been very successful for us.
Right.
It's been successful for developers because they can sell their products through AmiStore and actually make sales. So that's good. We've also we've put together a development team. They're all volunteers. They're not. They work in their spare time, but they're paid. They're paid Amiga rates, but they're paid, which is the main thing. So they're paid for their work. So we've been working on the Enhancer software pack that adds a whole bunch of new features to OS 4. And we're about to bring out a new version of that, 1.3, which adds a lot of new capability. Again, it's a free update for existing users.
Nice.
One thing we also do is anything we're developing for OS 4, we're also trying to create it for OS 3. So we believe in the classic market. Don't call me classic. We believe in the classic market. Classic Amiga users are very loyal, and we're going to produce much more software for classic.
Right.
And hardware as well.
Really?
The Prisma Megamix card, which is selling like hotcakes, gives the classic Amiga the ability to play all the sound files, multitasking with Amiga Classic on 7 Hertz machines.
But it is pretty amazing that while you have these modern, and obviously you want to sell X5000, you're also supporting the people who still use their 4000, their 3000, their 2000. So obviously this nostalgia, this history is fully in your view.
Well, it is, because as I say, the Amiga users, I mean, they're still here. Well, when did Commodore go bust? 1994. Here we are, 2017, and Commodore users are still upgrading their Amigas.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a few myself, and you know, I
might have a couple.
Yeah, I think we're all a bit strange that way.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What are your thoughts on where this all is going? Next steps?
Well, we're keen, obviously, for the next generation side to get more users. And so the next development, the Amiga 1 A1222, is meant to be, I'm going to say entry-level Amiga, but it's actually a mid-level Amiga 1, but at a very entry-level price. So we're going to try and make it the price as low as possible.
Right.
When I say low as possible, almost at cost, because I want the user base to grow.
Right. And it's very important, obviously, to get the user base, you get the software gets more users, more interest, more hardware sales.
And you can think of the printer analogy. If we can sell it at a low-cost piece of hardware, we can sell the software, and we can get some money back on the software.
Right, with the store now that Commodore didn't have at the time, well, Commodore could have been making money off the software that was being sold for the Amiga.
They were really a hardware company, as we know.
Right, right. They were expecting to make money really
by selling
off
hardware over and over again,
right.
like they did with the Commodore 64.
All this energy that you have for the Amiga, it's just incredible to see someone come in and basically pick up the reins of these great people who came before, who developed those systems, the Dave Haney.
Well, as I say, standing on the shoulders of giants, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
It's you need to obviously have that energy to even try to do this. I can't even fathom what it takes to start a hardware company this day and age.
Well, of course, what we do is try and be lean. So it still takes a lot of money. That's the biggest issue, money. But you have to be very lean in the operation. You have to be able to pick good partners. So we had very good hardware partners in Varisys, and now called Ultra Varisys. And of course, their main job really is designing systems for defense contractors. So they're a pretty high-tech company.
You've picked up Personal Paint, Aladdin 4D, Image FX.
FX, Octamed. My only disappointment is, although we've got about 20, 25 developers working on it for us, you know, not full time obviously, but you know, in the evenings and weekends. Some do a bit more than that. Things move slowly. You know, if we could afford to pay 25 developers to work full time, developers are expensive, as we know. But we are making inroads with Octamed. I hope to be that out next.
And of course, we all know. I mean, Octamed is big in the music for games, and that's what the Amiga was big in, was graphics, music. So you seem to are trying to cover all of the classic Amiga's strengths.
I mean, what I want to do is have all those upgraded, you know, a minimal viable upgrade, so it actually looks, you know, it's really modernized and upgraded. As we did with Personal Paint, we put a lot of work into that. So I want to do it with the other software we bought as well. Because to me, those classic titles are so Amiga. I mean, I had them all as a classic user. I still have them.
Great. So what do you have coming next?
Well, I mentioned enhancer software.
Yeah.
That's going to bring in quite a few new features. We're doing some quite exciting things on the graphics side. I don't want to say too much about that at the moment, but that's going to create some, I think, some excitement among Amiga users, next generation Amiga users. We want to bring out the enhancer for OS3 Classic, for emulation, and for some of these faster accelerator cards that are coming along, like Vampire.
Yeah.
Because I think that's really giving the classic user base a real boost.
Yeah.
So I'm particularly excited about that. I saw that demonstrated at AmiWest last year, and it was really good.
This is a platform where someone who used it ends up making it.
Yeah.
Who would think of that in any other platform?
I don't know. I mean, if you asked me in 2007, before that, I had a meeting with Michael Batalana, and that's what led to me getting involved, that I'd be making Amigas in 2012, for example, let alone 2017, I wouldn't have believed you. It's just one of those things. But that's why I called that the Amiga 1 X5000, because I always wanted
the 5000.
Wait for the next one.
And is the next one you want a 6000? Oh. Oh, that's awesome.
I didn't say anything.
No, you didn't. Oh, thank you.
It's a pleasure. And it's really nice to meet you.
Great meeting you.
Also, Amiga Bill.
Never been so much fun. Whoa, never been so much fun. Whoa, never been so much fun. Whoa, never been so much fun. Go up to your brother, kill him with your gun, leave him lying in his uniform, dying in the sun. Whoa. Whoa, never been so much fun. 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 Go up to your brother, kill him with your gun, leave him lying in his uniform, dying in the sun. Whoa. 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 Kill him with your gun, 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 kill him with your gun. So much fun. Whoa. Whoa. Go, 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 go. Go, 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 go to your brother. Go to your brother. Go to your brother. Kill him with your gun. never been so much fun. Go up to your brother, kill him with your gun, leave him lying in his uniform, dying in the sun. War. 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 War.
This ragtag team taking on IBM and Apple, and we've changed the world. We were from the future. This was it.
The wild-eyed, the excited, the crazed, gotta create inventive things, gotta do fun stuff.
It just completely changed everything. Amiga users make Macintosh users look like IBM users.
Weirdness and enthusiasm and unbridled energy.
We were so young and naive and innocent. It really felt like we could change the world.
I think there's something that was lost, something that you can't get back.
We had people who just kept believing. And I mean, there's still people who just keep believing.
Man, this is coming out great, huh?
Your meditation.
Best thing about these vintage expos is you never know who you're going to meet, and I'm just in awe of meeting this. Glenn Keller designed the Paula chip, and I mean, of all the custom chips in the Amiga, it's the one chip that really didn't change much throughout its entire life. And I mean, it's testament to this design and this amazing sound, and I'm sure we all want to know a little bit about you. So how did you get into chip design?
I got into chip design when I came to San Francisco looking for a job. Before that, I was working in Scotland at the University of Edinburgh. We were doing research into wave energy, into getting electricity from ocean waves. It was pretty complete happenstance that I happened to be there at all, because I was actually looking for ocean engineering jobs. So I called Joe DeCure, who was up in Oakland somewhere, and he said, I don't have anything, but you should go talk to my friend in the South Bay. So that's how the whole thing started.
And how did you know Joe DeCure?
I didn't.
Oh.
But his company was doing something to do with ocean engineering, and I was calling every company that had anything to do with ocean engineering looking for a job. So
that's a pretty wild connection back to Amiga and Atari.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I didn't meet Joe DeCure himself. I talked to him on the phone that time. I didn't actually meet him until the Amiga 30th.
Oh, wow.
Because he had gone on to other things by the time I joined. So
that's funny.
And he had worked, you know, he and Ron Nicholson and Jay had worked out the initial architectures and stuff. I went down to the Sunnyvale station and met this guy named Jay Miner, and we got along. And his name was J Glenn, and mine was Glenn J, so worked pretty good. When I was on the panel, I talked about the first time I wanted to, people were talking about their first connection with the Amiga, and that was mine when I met Jay Miner when I got off the train station in Sunnyvale. And there he was in his Lincoln with his beard and a big smile, and a little dog hanging outside of the other side of the car. It was like, right then it was like, okay, I gotta work for this guy. And we got along really well. And he had a way of being a boss that is better than I've seen anywhere. And I didn't really realize it until sometime after I was working with him, but he had a way of, taking a young designer like me and kind of gently pushing me in the direction to figure out what the right thing to do was, without really absolutely minimalist, but effective. And that quality was so subtle and so understated, but yet it kind of gives a bit of a sense of who Jay was in terms of a person. He was a great guy. I really enjoyed working with him, and kind of the philosophy that he kind of espoused through his way of being is kind of what I try to do when I'm working with people. He and Joe DeCure and Ron Nicholson, they were the ones that drew up the architecture and the structure of it. And so what Jay did is he moved it along from there. Now at the beginning, I didn't really have much of a sense of the whole structure of the thing, because I was, I'd never designed a chip before. I'm just, and as Joe DeCure said, off the boat from Scotland, right? And so I just did the stuff. I knew how to, I had done a fair number of electronics before. So I had, I knew the stuff, but I had never done a chip. So he kind of guided the whole thing very effectively. And he would listen to you. That was the other thing. There was a story which has been, I'm going to repeat this because I didn't actually experience it myself, but one of these stories is that Dale Luck, who was doing the software, graphic software, the core for the Amiga, he had built an emulator for the Blitter because he needed to test his software that ran on the Blitter before there was ever one actual one. And so building the software emulator, he realized that if he changed like a little bit of logic here and there, he could make it do a line draw with almost the identical structure. And so he went and talked to his boss, and his boss says, "Nah, we can't do that. We're in too big of a rush." And then he said, here, go talk to Jay and he'll shut it down. Right? And so they go out to lunch, and they come back from lunch, and I think it was like Jay was like, "Okay, let's do it." It's just like he got it, right? He got stuff. Even if it wasn't the way he was doing it, he would understand it, and he would flip. So yeah.
Right. It sounds like he saw how that would make the machine
he understood
more useful.
The global impact.
Right.
I mean, I had no idea of that stuff at that time. I didn't, barely knew what multitasking was, that kind of thing.
So, I mean, was it amazing that they were designing this machine with all these concepts that you had never even heard of? How did that feel when you were trying to work on this? Oh,
it was fine. I just did my stuff, and as I went along, I learned more things. I had seen Unix systems before, so I knew what multitasking was. In college, there was somebody had designed a CPU for their thesis and left it, and it didn't work, and we needed it to run the submarine, so I had to make it go. So I understood what a computer was like that, from that basis. So I knew a lot of different pieces, but the architecture pieces and the more complex pieces I didn't really understand, but that was okay. I didn't really need to. I just did my thing and learned as I went along. So that's kind of how it went. And later on, it was only, people were saying, this is a great computer, and it was only quite a lot later on that I kind of understood the gestalt of the thing.
When you got into Amiga, was there already like an idea of what they wanted the sound chip to do? Or was it like an open slate and you were trying just to figure out what the next jump was going to be?
Well, the famous whiteboard had already happened. So there was a structure, the basic structure was already in place. And so I was tasked with doing, being the least experienced chip designer, I was tasked with doing the peripherals, the audio, the disk controller, the UART for the RS-232 and the joystick port. So all the things that weren't the big heavy-duty audio video stuff.
Right, and we often forget, we always think of Paul as the audio chip, but it really did a whole lot more.
Yeah, all those things were in there.
Right. So, what was sort of the process like back then? What was
Oh, for designing the chip?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you started by drawing it on vellum, or coming up with the structure first, and then you draw it on a vellum sheet and all the gates and things, and then after that, the layout guys would go and digitize it and put it into some kind of database. I never really knew how they did it at that point. And then when they finished, you would print out the entire schematic of the whole thing, and you'd print out the entire layout of the entire thing, every gate, every transistor, and you would get out on the floor with two guys, each with a yellow pen, and you would draw the wires one at a time, starting from the pins, and make sure everything was connected right.
It's a very manual and labor-intensive process.
Right. Each chip designer would take the actual chip logic and also make a breadboard out of discrete components, which we used to give people demos, and for the software development.
Right, and that was what was taken to the Consumer Electronics Show, the Lorraine with those three big stacks of boards. So one of those big stacks was yours.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
So, yeah, and at some point there was a transition. It was partly me, but probably it was one of these circling of ideas things where you start out with one idea and it gets better and better as you talk about it. But at some point we decided to improve the audio. I think it only had 8 bits, period, with no pulse modulation. And I had talked to the layout guys, and we found out that we could probably improve it quite a lot in the same area if we did, A, B, and C. And Jay gave the okay we built an entirely new breadboard with the new audio structure. And it was quite a lot better than the original architecture. So that was cool. That was a lot of fun.
So what was the work environment like there?
It's an office. You go in, you hang out with your guys, you have lunch. Right. I mean, it was intense, and you've heard, if you look at any of the other people, it was an intense work environment. A bunch of young guys hanging out, working really, really intensely, and making a lot of mistakes and fixing them, and what can I say?
Right. So then, after Commodore purchases Amiga,
yeah,
and you guys finish the first machine,
right?
I understand you had said that they had kept you on as a contractor after that.
Yeah, I worked as a contractor for a while.
And what sort of things did you work on at Commodore after
that? After Amiga shut down.
Yeah.
Well, I did work for a while before they shut down on trying to cost reduce the original Amiga 1000. And then that was mostly taken over by the Commodore engineers, and it was a good thing because they were so much better at it than I was. When I saw what they had done on the Amiga 500, I was completely blown away. They had done because I knew all the circuits and what we had done, and I looked at what they had done, and it was completely blown away by their work at getting the cost down and getting the functionality the same, and the way all the little details of how they did the board and all that stuff, just amazing. Right. But after that, eventually Amiga closed down, and I went and worked on the AAA chipset, which was an attempt for a next generation.
Right, so this would be after the 1200 and 4000, the next machine after that, or was it still before those? Because I know there's a lot of stories about that timeline where they were working on the AAA chipset, but then it was kind of reduced to the AGA chipset.
I actually don't know too much about that. Probably because, you know, I was focused on, okay, I'm going to do this design. I wasn't really very connected to Commodore as a company so much. I was working, you know, with the engineers directly, and I wasn't paying that much attention to, you know, what Commodore was shipping or anything at that point. I was like, okay, this is a new chipset, I can work on it. And
so what was the idea for that, as far as what the piece that you were working on?
well, the piece that I worked on all 3 chips in this time. I know that the audio was the original Amiga was 8-bit audio with 6-bit pulse modulation. And the new one had 16 bits out of the box plus modulation. It had more channels. The disk controller was much more effective. It could read a bunch of more different codes than the original one. There were I know that we increased, you could have faster clock speeds by then. So I know we improved all the video modes and stuff, but I have no memory of what we did. We also improved the blitter and all those things. And again, I don't remember what we did.
How far along do you think it was by the time?
Oh, I think there were actual chips. That's not from my memory, from other things I've read. Okay.
Right.
So because I went looking around on the web to see what people were saying about it. So my memory of it is I kind of lost track after I stopped working on it. But from what I've read, the chips were actually made and started, the debugging was underway when the whole thing fell apart.
Right.
But
right. And I think Dave Haney has some pictures of those boards in his video.
Yeah, he would be the guy to really talk to about that, because I wasn't there by then.
And I guess a big question you would ask anybody is how does it feel all this time later that people are still kind of loving the sound that your chip made enough to keep using it?
It's pretty amazing, actually. I'm just like, I'm blown away. It's just like, how can that be, right? So I'm extremely honored that people are still having an interest in this stuff that much time later. And it's just great. I mean,
and what have you been doing since then? What sort of projects have you been involved with?
Well, I worked on a couple of game machines, which some of the RJ and Dave worked on as well, the Handy and the 3DO game machine. I worked on those guys, and after that I went off and got a job doing designing image sensors. So that was quite a while ago, 1998. My gosh, it's been a while. Yeah, so I'm still designing image sensors.
Wow.
I always liked cameras, and I never really liked video games that much. So getting into a place where I could design them was like really amazing for me.
So how did your work at Commodore, did it help get you to that point?
No, it was a completely different connection.
Completely different.
I mean, clearly it got me to that point in the fact that I knew how to design chips. So, yes, it did. But the connection was not the same. I had been doing mostly board work and hadn't been doing so much internal, because at the 3DO and Handy, mostly I did the prototypes. Built the same kind of thing we did at Amiga, where you built these boards, you know, with logic on them that emulated the chip, so that, because I still remember the 3DO thing, that nobody believed that you could put a graphics accelerator on a video game. Okay, so we had to show them, right?
Right.
Which meant carrying this big, you know, thing that looked like a cray. You know, it had like 18 boards out at an angle, and carry it to Japan and run it and show them.
Right, so you built that, or?
Well, I built part of it.
Part of it?
Yeah,
Which part were you involved in? Was it again with audio, or was it with something else?
Well, I think I worked on most of the pieces. By then I was an old guy, or a semi-old guy. Now I'm a really old guy. But by then I was the old guy, so I was doing some tutoring of some of the younger engineers who were doing the other pieces as well. So I was doing backup and, okay, here's how you do timing analysis, here's how, other things of that nature.
Now, when you're taking a chip design, which obviously is designed to be a very small thing, and you're breaking it out into these big boards, what are some of the challenges in that?
Well, the real challenge is you have to get the signal from A to B. It turned out when we built the 3D prototypes that the actual speed of the logic was basically irrelevant. The trouble was when you went this far, the wire length, the inductance in that wire would cause more signal delay than anything else. So you couldn't really go, that was the thing that limited the clock speed, was the physical distance in the wiring. So then that was a thing, and also you had to, one of the things is you have clocks in these things, and in the chip you lay them out similarly so that the delays are all the same so that the whole thing works together. But in the breadboard you had to do them all by hand, all 2,000 of them. And there was one guy named Paul Brandt, who's absolutely brilliant technician, who he and I together, sort of worked out the techniques for balancing all the clock trees and stuff. Ended up being a lot of fun.
After Amiga, did you use one?
Oh, I used one for a while. But like anybody else, when the PCs got better, one of the problems I saw with the Amiga, it was limited to NTSC, and that the flickeriness and stuff. As soon as the resolutions of the screens of the regular computers got better than that, and maybe if Amiga had stuck around longer, it would have kept up with the more high-res monitors. And I know Headley had done a good thing. Headley Davis had done a Headley high-res thing that gave the Amiga some, better quality. But that was a really important thing, I think. The crispness of the screen and the non-flickering, you need that for a lot of the, more boring applications.
Right. You can't sell to business a machine that's making everyone's eyes water.
Yeah. Right. Absolutely. So from that point of view, I felt that the Amiga was behind I don't know if it was behind, but in the sense of usability in that sense, it wasn't as good as, like, say, the Macintosh, which had a crisp black and white screen.
Right, even though the resolutions are fairly similar, and it's black and white, the advantages to business are the clear screen.
And your eye strain, right? I don't remember, I don't know if the resolution, but you always had that flicker with NTSC, and because of the phosphors, even as soon as you try to use the full resolution, the 640 by 480 kind of thing, then you get flicker. If you use 320 by 240, you're fine.
But you're at a low
But on the other
resolution.
hand, that's a really low resolution.
Right.
So that was, I think, one of the problems. I don't know about the marketing stuff. People have commented about that, and but
it is interesting that it's both a strength of the Amiga in video,
right,
and a detriment on the other side,
right.
And it's like trying to get to that middle ground, And yeah, I think Amiga was trying. Commodore with Amiga was trying to move towards that towards
right.
the end. With the more advanced chipsets, they were talking about Ombre, which was moving to PCI cards, and
right.
Using graphics cards of the day.
Right, and I think that was the appropriate move, to move toward things that would support sort of the progressive scan monitors, basically, with higher resolution. And had the thing stayed big for longer, that's probably what would have happened. And you would have needed to go faster with everything. But that's not quite what happened. So still, it was a great thing to be involved in.
Well, is it just how does it feel that something you worked on so early on is still just like something that is so big?
It's a little weird, actually. I kind of expected the whole thing would disappear. And so, you know, the fact that it seems to actually be reviving, and there seems to be, you know, still people, well, a lot of people still having all this enthusiasm and how, you know, great it is and enjoying it so much. It's like, it's wonderful.
We have friends with a band called Paula Powered.
Yeah.
And they do a lot of their work with Amiga, and they named, you know, obviously their band after the Paula chip.
Oh, so. That's pretty cool.
Paula Powered.
Cool.
I think someone also did an album that's named Agnes, Denise, and Paula.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, so it's
just, yeah, and I feel incredibly honored that it's really a luck thing, you know. I mean, lots of other smart engineers that did other things that just didn't happen to happen this way, right? So.
Well, thanks. It's been great talking to you, and thank you for the Paula chip.
Hey, I'm glad I could do it. I'm glad I was there to do it. It was my pleasure.